Hello everyone, this is Alex Austin, Structures Group Lead with DRD Technology. I want to talk about a fairly simple case for using Ansys simulation in firearms and munitions development. As you can see here, I have the lower frame and few side pieces for a pistol. And what we're going to look at today is how much force is required to release the magazine from the frame by pressing this button right here. As you can see, I've highlighted that button in green, as you see. Now, if we look on the inside of this thing, we have this little tab here that locks this button inside the frame, and then we have a spring on the inside here, you can see there, that provides the preload such that it takes a certain amount of force to press this button and release the magazine on the inside, this guy right here. Now, without going too far into the setup here, we have frictional contact between the various parts of the assembly. So the pin to housing or the frame, the stop that locks the pin into the frame, and so forth. The primary aspect we're after is how much force is required to press that button, as we want to make sure it's not too light that a slight jostle will pop the magazine out, and we don't want to make sure that that button is too hard to press, otherwise, well, you won't be able to release the magazine from the frame. So what I have here is a simple static analysis where I have a displacement applied to that pin to push it over just 12 thousandths of an inch. So that's the distance required in order to separate it from the magazine so the magazine will pop out. Now, I've already got this simulation solved, so we'll take a look at displacement here. Now, nothing too fancy. As you can see, there's a 12 thousandths inch of deflection here. Barely any movement on the overall part, of course. But if you kind of zoom in a little bit, you can see this little tan-looking pin slowly moving outward. You can see the colored contours on the inside there. Now, if we hide a couple of these parts and then show that deformation again, so you can see that deformation is just shown on the outside of the parts, as these are all rigid bodies. Now, as mentioned, what we're after is the amount of force required to push that little slide over. And you can see we start at 0, and we slowly increase that up to a little over 11 pounds. So that's 11 pounds that'd be required by your thumb in this case to press that button and pop the magazine out. This is a pretty simple case. We can fine-tune how much spring force or how much force is required by adjusting the spring force in that part. So we could say, instead of a 5-pound spring, we could input a 6-pound or 4-pound spring, depending on how much load we really wanted to press that button. But this particular analysis is fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Now, Ansys has several other applications available for munitions and firearms development, and a couple of them are listed here. We have recoil control, making sure that the firearm doesn't pop out of your hand if you're not gripping it hard enough, of course. There's trigger feel, that's the lower left animation you see there. And then suppressor characterization, can we reduce the gas flow, gas pressure coming out of the barrel such that the sound that you get from the firing of that firearm is much lower than without it. So those are just a couple application examples. We will have a webinar coming up in a few weeks on February 20th to showcase some more in-depth information about this firearms and munitions development with Ansys simulation.